Welcome to Unit 2. This unit takes a closer look at the English language and how we use words to express ourselves when speaking in different situations and writing in different genres. Listen to people talking about their experiences of language and literature.
The last book I read was Useless Magic, which is lyrics and poetry by Florence Welch from Florence and the Machine. I just got it last week, and it mixes poetry, lyrics, some doodles that she made, and I thought it was very different from anything else I've read because you have this mixture of different ways of expressing oneself, and I thought it was very delicate and sensitive.
I'm actually rereading Harry Potter right now, so.
But it's in French.
It is in French, but one of my favorites, so thought I'd try it in a different language this time.
Great Expectations, 1984, Brave New World. Quite like dystopian future that I find them fascinating, but also, a bit of more upbeat. And I was reading a tiny bit of Machiavelli, that was it, The Prince.
And I'm currently reading a novel by Jack Kerouac called On the Road.
Roald Dahl is one of my favorite authors, and I read Matilda every year to my students.
Actually, the last book was a different one. The last one was called The Invention of Nature by Andrea Wolf. That was a biography of Alexander von Humboldt, the science explorer. I loved that book because it was written in a wonderful way. It was a wonderful description of his travels and his experiences, and describing it in a very colorful and vivid language, which I think is part of why I enjoyed it so much.
Zadie Smith, White Teeth, and I'd heard of it, but I'd never actually read it. I didn't know what it was about. I had no idea at all, but I'm absolutely loving it. It's just incredibly funny. I think it's incredibly cleverly written. The White Teeth theme recurs every now and again in a most unexpected way, but the story, her characters, what happens to them, the way the plot develops, and you never quite know what's going to happen next, but it's absolutely wonderful, and it's a laugh out loud book.
I'm reading Julia Navarro. I know it in Spanish, but in English I think it's Shoot Me, I'm Already Dead. It's very good. It's about Palestinian times and Jewish times as well, and how they're fighting against that, so it's really interesting. She's a great author.
So I'm currently reading a book about Alexander von Humboldt and how he influenced Darwin and environmentalism in general. He's one of the first people to discover various climate regions in the world and the equator and a bunch of things.
I think it's really important just because we interact with people every day, so we don't want people to misinterpret what we're saying. So it's definitely a key skill to have.
Oh, very important, for sure. Yeah, because we've kind of got away from proper English, a lot of slang terms. Yeah, it would be great for people to learn their language better.
I don't know, sometimes people say, you have been living in England so much and you have studied in Cambridge and before that in the States, why don't you have a better accent? But I think it's really important to keep your own little accent and your own voice, and I think you can express that by messing up the grammar a little bit and making it more cute or, more friendly, I guess. Yeah.
I do think it's important for people to use language correctly, but I also think that people express themselves in various ways, and so we ought to have a type of empathy towards that. And if people don't say precisely what they mean, but they convey well enough what they mean, I think that's acceptable. So.
Well, I find that it's very important to communicate accurately, and I think that when people take the time to learn to speak accurately and to use words and phrases properly, then it's much easier to communicate and much more comfortable for everybody.
It makes it much easier to understand when people are using the correct form because otherwise it becomes disjointed and not as understandable, easily understandable.
I think it's very important if, especially in the workplace or, when you're networking, trying to meet new people. I think you present yourself better when you use correct language, I guess.
So I think the ability to use authentic language is what's most important. Being able to produce and also receive authentic input and output is what's really important. So correctly can mean so many different things, and I wouldn't want to generalize it as such. So I think having the opportunity to use it authentically is what's important.
It's important to try and use proper English and be standard as far as possible, so that you're understood by as wide a range of people as you possibly can. But also for especially native speakers of English, to be patient with people and to not be very pedantic and think, oh, well, they didn't use that verb in the right way, I'm not. Because if you understand what they mean, just go with it.